And we should be live. I'll check it in a minute. First, I want to change this. I'm supposed to be talking to Gaz this weekend. Mazda. Why did I write Mazda? Oh my God. This is going to be a very interesting show. I'm already kind of goofy anyway, when I do this show. And now let's add sleep deprecation into the middle of it too, because, how could that go wrong? And let's blow you up. Where is it? There it is. Oh, and I still need to put you on camera too. Give me just a second here, Marty. I'm sorry. Hi, everyone who might be watching or not. This is the usual, let's get ready to rumble. There's Marty. All right, let's go to here. Oh, good. All right, well, they both worked.
Cool.
And test comment. Very good.
So when you did this show with Gaz, when he was a part of it,
cool.
Had you done Ecamm yet or no?
No. Well,
so this Ecamm.
Did we? Yeah, we may have done like one or two shows in
Okay.
Ecamm.
Yeah. So I was just wondering if this whole setup would be new to him when he returns.
Well, the thing that I've been doing that's different from what I was doing before is I've been doing this live for like the last month, I think.
Yeah.
Gaz doesn't like to do it live, and I get it. I understand why. If there's any mistakes, you can just say, okay, well, let's do a cut here, and then separate that and then slam it back together, and that's fine. And when Gaz comes back, if he doesn't want to do it live, then we won't do it live. But I've been enjoying it, and it's especially doing this show live. It's given me a chance to practice a bit and, kind of get my feet wet with doing live presentations, because it's not something I spent a whole lot of time doing before, other than Back to the Future. But that was more an exercise in frustration, because I spent so much time just trying to get tools to work that, it just never really clicked for me that we were, doing something that was live. But that was 6-7 years ago when I was doing that, and the tools have changed a lot.
Yeah. Well, with this, I did a show last night, Old Mac Gang, and
I need to get on that show sometime.
Yeah, sure. It is a last night I think I had 8 start and stops, which meant, okay, let's cut this. I'd put a marker
in. Remember that we're live right now.
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah. But I had 8 starter stops, and I'll tell you, you put the marker in, you go back. It took me some editing last night to do it. But, but in the meantime, the streamed version is out there. As soon as the show is over, you can go and shut down the stream version through YouTube, and that's not a problem. Right. And then, take the hour or so, whatever it takes to edit it, to get it cleaned up. But having a live audience follow along because they know Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. they can do that. And you've seen it maybe with Chuck's show, but he's not using eCams, so he can't pull those comments out and throw them directly into the video stream like you can do with eCam.
Right.
So when Brian says something related to what we're talking about, I can just click on it, and that message
right
shows up at the bottom of the live screen. So there's a real interesting feel to it. And even if some of the chat rooms that on the shows that I do, they like Old Mac Gang, we're talking about something, and the chat room's just talking about old technology that they have or haven't used, and it's cool for them. So, yeah, I like the experience. Only it doesn't matter how many people are in the room. For me, it is just the fact that there's some engagement, some audience engagement with it.
Yeah, and people are following along. So,
and if it's good stuff, you can reward them kind of by posting their comment up. Some of the comments are like, no, I'm not going to post that. You make that decision, but
yeah.
But other than that, it's cool.
Well, unless comments are like ridiculously funny, which I always appreciate, or very relevant to the topic that's being discussed, then, I mean, if people are talking in the comments and not necessarily about whatever the show's about, I'm not going to highlight a separate conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The problem is you're so involved in doing the show in the moment, switching from camera to camera, that sometimes it's like, oh, wait a minute, I haven't checked what the live comments have been, and you miss a good one because you've already moved on.
That happened last week. Somebody made a comment, and if I had seen it, I would have put it in. So what I'm doing differently this week is I have of course the video screen of you and me, and whether I'm hitting this, or it's me, or it's you, or it's both of us. Right above that screen, I have the window open for comment and reactions, where it was over to the right before. And I don't know why I didn't think of this before. So my eye should be able to catch if something comes in, and I can go ahead and just, click on it and say, oh, look at that. Bobby, what's his name, just came and said test comment, and can just throw it up like that. So we'll see. Anyway, you have done this show before, so I'm not really telling you anything that you don't already know. But we're going to go from the splash page to you. You just basically say the GMen Show 46 split decision, and then I go right into the opening crazy stuff that I've got there. And then coming out of that, I'll do the intro, and then we'll just get started with everything else.
So I should do it straight in terms of the intro. I shouldn't add anything to it.
No, you can add whatever you want to it.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. All right.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to, this show is very loosely structured. This is meant to be fun. It's the tech show for people that don't like tech shows. So, that's my philosophy with the GMen Show. That's
great.
That is my guiding principle. If I could be said to have a guiding principle, that's how I do things. So you want to do a funny voice, or you want to add something else to it, you're not going to offend. Just don't. The only thing I ask is please don't curse. That's the one rule that I do try to abide by. And there has been times when I've just been like, well, this effing guy just, is a big S word. And, I think of him as an ass, and it's like, oh, damn, I shouldn't have said that. But, I mean, that is the only rule that I try to abide by, which is why I also make the joke about comments and bumpers and stuff, and mention Marcus.
Yeah,
well, I'll tell you, very spicy comments over the years.
As a as a teaching faculty, it often is hard for me to curtail
Yeah.
my cursing. But it's, the thing is, I'm working with people who will eventually work with clients, and it's not like their clients aren't going to curse, so they better get over it.
Sure,
but
sure.
I still can't. I still have to put that filter on me.
It's the difference between, you're meeting someone as a vendor, and you want to provide them a service. If the client sits there and says, well, F this and F that, it's like, oh, okay, fine. But in my opinion, you have to kind of hold yourself to a higher standard, because you're trying to present not just yourself, but your company and the services that you provide. And so it's kind of, it's on you to present the best face going forward. Yeah. But that's just how I feel about it.
There is no higher standard than profanity.
Those words were invented for a reason. I agree.
All right.
There's a reason why they're there. Okay. Are you ready?
Sure.
Okay. I'm going to go with like just about 5 seconds or so of the splash page.
The GMen Show 46. It's a split decision. Tell me, do you like this side?
Yeah, it's the GMen Show. Talking fruit, tech, and ego. Hot takes, cold coffee, still here.
Sorry, I thought you were done, and so we're gonna do that again. I'm sorry about that, Mark.
All right.
Are you ready?
Yep.
So you're gonna do something after split decision.
Yeah, I'm gonna just do a decide.
Gotcha. All right, that's fine. Don't tell me. It's got to be. I want it to be spontaneous. Okay, here we go.
Spontaneous, but you also have to make your cue. I like that.
Yeah, there seems to be a contradiction there in some way, but I can't quite picture what it is. All right, here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the GMen Show. Talking fruit, tech.
Damn it. I am so tired. All right, hold on. That was,
I have no clue where you're going here.
We're going to start again, okay? And then when the camera comes to you, go ahead and start. All right.
Right, okay.
Hold on.
The GMen Show 46. It's a split decision. Tell me, do you like this side better? Or this side better?
Yeah, it's the GMen Show. Talking fruit, tech, and ego. Hot takes, cold coffee, still hitting every keynote. They roast your phone. No. They roast each other. Tips, rants, one after another. Is that a feature or just a bug? Either way, it gets a shrug. GMen Show, turn it up. Let the fanboys know. Questions, rants, or a nerdy confession. Call in now. Join the obsession. 703-828-4677. 703-828-4677. Yeah!
And welcome everyone to the finally started GMen Show. Crossed wires are so much fun. And if you watch the live version of this show, you'll get to see them all. But regardless, currently we are about a month away from the next likely iPhone event, and there are so many models. In fact, there's so many that it's being said that Apple might split them into 2 events, one in the fall of this year and another in the spring of 2027. We're going to look into the reasons why this might happen and how it could affect the company. Oh, and apparently this is John Ternus's first major Apple event that he'll be hosting, or, something like that. So, no pressure, John. Absolutely no pressure. Hello, Marty. Thank you for joining me today. I appreciate it.
It's good. It's good fun. I'm beginning to kind of get used to the vibe of this show. So I'm glad to be here and glad that you offered me an opportunity to be here.
This is a very, I try to make this show as relaxing as possible. Now for Gaz and me, when we do this, and he might be back next week, we're looking into that. When Gaz and I have been doing this show since 2010. So we're kind of used to each other's nuances and the crazy things that we do together. But when new people come onto the show, it's kind of like, you almost always feel kind of a jitter, especially if it's the first or second time that you've been on a show that you're not used to. It's like, well, it's somebody else's show and I don't want to do anything that's going to like disturb the vibe. And in the case of GMen show, there is no real serious vibe to disturb.
Yeah, I think this is my third time appearing since you've had this break, and that's been cool. But first time, it's like I didn't know what was happening. The second time, it was okay. I remember this from the first time, and now I think I got a sense of the vibe of the show. So thanks for having me back. And I enjoy being here with this. Particularly, you've got some interesting topics and focus on some topics that are very cool.
Well, and here's the weird thing. We're currently, usually from September on going into 2020 or the next year, there's usually new things happening to talk about. But then when you get into kind of the doldrums of the summer, there's not a whole lot of news other than rumors. And I don't particularly like to do rumors, but if there's a subject that is being rumored that I find kind of interesting, it's like, oh, okay, I'll go with that. And when I first read about the whole possibly splitting the release of new iPhones, it was like, well, why is this? And, we're going to talk about that when we get to it. But I understand now you're a teacher at so far, unless you disclose it, college. And frankly, I better not. Well, it is this kind of show, so whether you want to say, well, I'm at State University or, whatever, that's completely and totally up to you. No, it probably wouldn't be hard to figure out. Yeah,
anybody who wants to blackmail me can just Google my name and probably find out where I'm at.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
We're starting back next week, and we've already started. I'm going to have a meltdown. We've already started getting requests for meetings. So you know what? And you've had some interface with kind of corporate America. Educational systems are trying to be corporate America, but they're not. So next Thursday, we're having a college-wide meeting, but next Wednesday, the dean has decided we need to have a dean advisory committee meeting for 4 hours.
Oh my God.
And we're going to talk about mission statement, vision statement, how we can make these actualized within our college. I'm gonna have a meltdown in the meeting. I'm gonna sit there with my little MacBook Neo and just kind of focus on what I need to work on. But the Lime one.
Okay, good. More attention.
And so I've got that. And then the next day we have a 4-hour whole college meeting, basically repeating everything that was done in the small meeting the day before.
Oh my God.
All in the attempt to appear like we're corporate, like we have decision input and things like that, when, as you know, higher education is under threat, under financial issues, and institutions are closing for all sorts of reasons. So we're playing professional corporation for the day. So
it's weird. I've looked at the structure of college and why they want to make it like like a business, I'm not sure, because in most businesses, the vast majority of your employees are being paid. Whereas in a college, if you look at students as the employees, they're paying you guys to be there. So I'm not sure how that dynamic works between the two of them.
Well, they referred to students one time as customers, and they want us to treat them like customers, which is a very strange function.
Yeah.
No.
They're there to learn.
Yeah. And we've got a product we're providing them. But if we're sitting in meetings talking about mission and vision statements and trying to figure out how they're going to be actualized, we cannot spend time getting ready to teach and give them a better product. So, yeah, that's my meltdown.
Okay, good. I hope you do that in the meeting as well. I'm looking forward to hearing how that went. Now, everyone who's watching this, remember that Marty and I usually are also doing Chuck Joyner's Mac Voices Live, which is 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here in the U.S. on Tuesday nights, as well as Dave Ginsburg's In Touch with iOS on Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And some of those same topics may come up, and whether you address that in After Dark or during those particular shows, it's like, I just want to know what happened.
Yeah. Well, you're really triggering me this morning.
I'm sorry. That's not my intention.
Our vision statement is not a vision statement. They put a couple of people in charge of a committee to figure all this stuff out.
Right.
And they said they know what vision statements are, but I know how vision statements need to be structured, and they're not that. And so my head might explode when we start talking about this vision statement, and I will wind up pissing off more than a couple of people around the table if I.
Oh no!
So yeah. Don't you realize you've been doing this all wrong all the time? This is what a vision statement is.
I want to be a fly on the wall. It has been an incredibly busy week. Not just last week, but this week as well. It was my wife's birthday, and we went to this. It's a northern Italian restaurant. So, and I'm talking about the kind of food they serve. Of course, we didn't go to northern Italy for her birthday, though I'm sure she would have liked that quite as well. And this particular restaurant is one that we both like. Last Saturday, I helped my son Peter move from where he was living to his new city. And thankfully, he has so many good friends that I barely had to lift a finger to move stuff either out of where it was or into the new place. And I'm not saying this as a complaint. I'm saying this as a nearly 66-year-old man who no longer is interested in moving couches up stairways or stairwells. So, let's go with that. Of course, I am still, and I don't believe it's on camera. No, it's not, but it's right here. This is my Heil PR35 microphone connected to my Rodecaster Duo and going out through Ecamm for everyone to hear. And you'd think that would be enough, but sometimes it isn't. I love talking about this microphone, and as people who have been watching this show for a long time, I have had let's call it what it is, a fetish for audio gear, especially microphones.
Yeah.
And there has been, and I didn't really want to get into this, but I guess we will anyway. This is, every single one of these shows is tangents. There's a lot of people out there who don't go to that kind of trouble, and they sound great. Chuck, for example, doesn't use any of this. He just uses a Shure MV7 Plus. And the first time that I realized he was doing that was in Chicago during MacStock when Dave Ginsburg had his big get together for
Right.
What was it? The
His
10th anniversary? Was it
yeah,
the 10th
10th anniversary of the show.
10th anniversary of In Touch with iOS. And you know, and I had like this audio interface, the small one, and it's nice.
Mhm.
Plugs in for microphones and all the rest of that. But he had, including himself, I think 6 people on that panel. And I was telling him, it's like, I got room for 4. I don't know what to do. And then Chuck and I think Jeff started using USB microphones. And because I was using Ecamm, everything just kind of worked.
Came together.
And Chuck's sounded so great. And well, he does on his own show as well, that, you know, it kind of made me sit there and go, why have I spent thousands of dollars on all this gear when I could just get, you know, a good USB microphone and then be done with all of it? And a lot of that has to do with the kinds of tools that are now available. Tools like Ecamm, where, you know, I mean, I used to record the audio for this show into a separate program. And for the last couple of weeks, I haven't done that. I still use it for editing, but I just drag all the audio files because each part of this show is a separate audio file in Ecamm, drag those into my DAW and then edit them there. And it's really streamlined what I have to do to get this show out. And I'm really impressed. And looking back on my life, I'm now sad that I have spent all this money on gear when I really didn't have to, he said with his voice rising above the octave that only cats and space squirrels can hear. But, you know, that's just kind of what happens.
But you do what you do. You get into a workflow pattern where you, like, I don't do separate tracks in terms of audio. Right. I get the best I can. And then what I do is use different types of processing software to equalize all the voices.
And level it all out.
And level it out and then remove some of the garbage in it. So I process it. And sort of my philosophy about it is the 2 shows that I do that I consider news shows are Neo Notebook and Vision Profiles, where we talk about the week's news. Nobody's going to go back and listen to those shows after they've heard it once. It's not Abbey Road, folks. It's just
with 4 podcasters walking across the
street. It's news, and in 2 weeks it's going to be irrelevant to what most people are interested in doing. So that's my approach to it, and it sounds good. I think it's only audio folks who've worked in processing audio in, you know, when it wasn't easy to process audio, that really pay attention or get stuck in a workflow that is a little bit more cumbersome than what we need. Yeah.
Hand raised. That's me.
Me too. I mean, I run it through.
Okay. I'm not an audio professional, but I do go to great lengths to make things more difficult on myself. Okay. Good. Glad to hear it. All right. We're going to jump right over to Gaz's Snippets.
Gaz's Snippets, headlines fly, we just clip it. Bite-sized buzz, you won't miss it. Hey. Tapping quick, Gaz's Snippets, blinking, you get the gist of it.
Hey. In the serial lawyers seek money from a familiar source department, Apple has made a huge mistake concerning iCloud Private Relay. Now, I'm going to talk about this, but I have to admit right off the bat that I don't completely understand it, but this is what in my research that I have found, and I hope it's accurate. iCloud Private Relay is supposed to make the user's email address or replace it with a generic one for privacy, but a vulnerability can expose the user's actual email. Now, how it works or is supposed to work is that the real address is hidden behind Apple relays, more than one, and a generic address is used to give to websites that are requesting one. However, if the request is made using a passkey via a web request, it can probably it's probably being made outside of the browser, which bypasses private relay and can expose the real IP address. Apparently, a site just claiming to support passkey requests is enough to trigger the link. Okay, if you have all that, congratulations. I wish I did. Yeah, good for you. The main takeaway is that a lawsuit filed by the Clarkson law firm, the same one that already got a $250 million settlement related to Apple Intelligence and Siri from a couple of years ago, is at it again, claiming betrayal of consumer trust, false advertising, something deceptive and unlawful because people paid for a premium that didn't work as Apple claimed. Okay. What I'm not sure about is how prevalent this vulnerability was, where people's email address or IP address were exposed. Was it as often as this law firm that just loves to blow things out of proportion? And I'm not saying that this isn't serious, but this, again, lawsuit or law firms exist not so much, and I'm not claiming that this is this particular law firm. A lot of law firms exist. Well, I mean, they might sue me if I say the wrong thing.
Yeah.
It's like, let's jump through the legal hoops here.
I am allegedly saying this law firm is what you need to say.
Well, no, I'm not even allegedly saying it is. I'm saying some law firms exist merely to make money and are not interested in justice or righting wrongs. Now, again, I'm not saying that the Clarkson law firm is like that, but there are some who might say that that is the case here.
Yeah, there are plenty of law firms.
I'm going to count the hoops that I just jumped through. Okay,
Yeah.
see, it was about 6 or 7. What do you think?
Time to take some ibuprofen for all the bending that you had to do.
Oh.
I'm thinking that you're asking about the prevalence of this. I don't think it matters, because people will see class action lawsuit. Yeah, I used iCloud Relay. I will private relay and sign up to be part of a class action lawsuit, not knowing that it seems to be tied around the particular use of passkey. And that either that hardware or the software that's associated with passkeys. So that's a lot of, like you said, that's a lot of hoops that to get to that point and to get to that person who's had it. I think Apple's approaching this all wrong. They've already been tapped twice by this law firm. So obviously the law firm is looking for these kind of vulnerabilities. What Apple should do with like an angry guard dog is if you've got an angry guard dog. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Is get some raw meat on Google or some other competitor and toss it out there so the guard dog goes after the raw meat and not after you. This is an opportunistic, it appears to be an opportunistic approach and we know there are plenty of law firms that don't like to make money. So,
well, I didn't say that.
This must be the exception.
Yes. Yeah. And I don't mind lawsuits related to the public good when they make sense and that there's something really egregious that is happening. However, in some cases, maybe not even this case, but some cases, it just seems like it can be a blatant money grab.
Let me make a case for the law firm's approach. It is what they're, if I was going to defend that, I would say it is for the public good, because these people unknowingly, their real email addresses were exposed when they were told they weren't going to be exposed.
Yeah.
Or IP address. So yeah, this is for the good of all, at the same time, all of us are going on junk sites and exposing our IP address. They just found someone who has some money attached to it. So, yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, how much money could Apple possibly have? Sorry, I wanted to say that without laughing, but it's not easy.
They've been on a downslide lately. So, I hear their CEO is quitting. Or has quit. So,
yeah, well, he's nervous. It's like, I don't want to be blamed when, Apple is only a $3 trillion instead of a $4 trillion company. I get it. I totally get it. All right, next story. I've only got a couple this week. In the Microsoft on the Edge to include Apple accounts department, and for people who don't understand, each one of these departments seem to be kind of one-offs. Yeah. So anyway, you can file that under Microsoft on the Edge to include Apple accounts. Microsoft's Edge browser could start allowing you to use your Apple account to sign in, bypassing the need to create a Microsoft account. Microsoft allows and lists both Apple and Google accounts sign in support for Windows and the Mac OS in an Edge browser beta, but call it a controlled rollout because there may be some delay before all of the beta users see it. This confuses me because one of the reasons that many companies, and I'm saying it this way because I think I've gotten enough attention from the Clarkson law firm, many of these accounts counteract the cost of their doing business and the services that they're providing with user information that they can turn around and sell. And, Microsoft and Apple and Google, of course, and so many other companies have, and I don't want to say have been guilty, but this is just kind of the cost of doing business, and it's done in such a way that it's another revenue stream that they can take advantage of. And why they would allow users to use an Apple or Google account sign-in instead of trying to force people to use a Microsoft account sign-in is kind of confusing to me. What's your take on this, Marty?
You lost me at Microsoft Edge. Is that like a ska band from Seattle, or I don't use the Edge.
It's like the
browsers.
Police with reggae rock kind of thing.
Yeah,
ska
Regatta
rock.
de Blanc. Yeah, Regatta de Blanc. Anyway, why would I want to give any service, particularly a competing service, information about how I log into another service? Is just crazy. It's not a convenient. I guess they're selling it as a convenience that I don't have to worry about my Microsoft login or having to create a Microsoft account. I have Microsoft accounts and I keep forgetting the passwords. So I could see where, I will just do that because I sign in once a year to get whatever I need to get and get out of there. For whether I'm, purchasing a suite, an office suite to be able to be used, whatever. So I could see where I would be seduced over to giving them that information for my Apple login because I'm more familiar with that and use it all the time. So it could be a bait and switch.
The only thing that I just thought of this. The only thing I can think of is, especially on the Mac side, well, probably also on, if you're using Google services, Edge is not a huge browser, except if you're, a full on Microsoft Windows user and subscriber. So maybe this is kind of like a bait and switch where you were saying, okay, well, we're going to let them use their Apple account to sign in and, create an account so that they could use some Microsoft services, including the Edge browser. But then we're going to immediately start suggesting in a little window just underneath where, your username and password shows up. Hey, you could do this through a Microsoft account as well and get all of these cool things that you can't get because you're not doing it that way. And we'll make it so easy for you to switch.
Yeah, it could be also maybe enterprise linked because enterprise says, okay, you're going to use Office, you're going to use these different programs that we have, and you're going to use Edge because we want you to be bothered by Copilot even more.
Yeah. And Teams, let's not leave Teams out of that. I guess we'll find out as time goes on whether this is a feature that's actually, because remember, this is on a beta. This isn't on the currently shipping Edge browser, which I believe also is available for the Mac OS. And it is a Chromium browser. So like, for example, not just with Ecamm, but, Chuck likes to use Riverside. There's a lot of services that require a Chromium browser because the Chromium browser, whether it's from Google or it's from Microsoft, and even Safari in in iOS and iPadOS, I believe, is also Chromium based, even though Safari is WebKit based on the Mac side. It's the one that most services like this require. I know that when Gaz and I were using, what's the other one? StreamYard to do this show, he had to find a Chromium browser and he wasn't going to use Edge and he wasn't going to use Chrome. So I think he was using Firefox, which is also Chromium based.
Yeah.
So, that's the compromise. Sometimes you just need a Chromium browser to have things work properly.
Yeah.
In the way intended. Let me say that, in the way intended by the service.
Yeah. And there's another app that Jeff and I use for organizing. It's an organization app and it only works on Chromium browsers. And Jeff has mentioned you can use Firefox. This app still functions on Firefox.
Yeah. Or on Opera or so many other browsers. It just has to be Chromium based.
Yeah.
All right. Last story, in the Holy Apple Car all over again, Batman department, some reports claiming that an all glass 20th anniversary iPhone could be made next year, despite other rumors saying that it might be canceled and others saying, but no, it's still on track, with all kinds of claims of an OLED screen and it's either bigger or smaller than existing rumored iPhones. So, I wanted to clear that up before we had a discussion about it. That I'm not quite sure how, unless you can make all of the components transparent, or if you're doing some kind of trick to make everything transparent through, video trickery or something along those lines. I'm not sure how you could have an all glass transparent iPhone. I mean, the fact holding an iPhone and being able to say, look, I can see right through my iPhone to the other side, okay, that sounds really cool. I'm not sure how
Yeah.
it would work. Would you be interested at all in an all glass 20th anniversary iPhone, or do you think that this would just be kind of a one off to say, hey, it's a bit kind of like the 20th anniversary Mac? It was never updated because it was just for that particular occasion.
Yeah, I don't. This sounds too gimmicky for Apple to do. I mean, it taps into kind of the Star Trek Minority Report clear pane of glass that does everything for you. And I just think this is too gimmicky. I think my prediction is the phone will come out with a back that has 20 on the back of it. And I bet you my prediction hits before this does. It just seems too much. OLED, bigger, glass. Again, what can you see except you can flip the phone back and forth and look at all the electronics that are in it? And I don't think that is necessarily an aesthetically appealing thing to have. So would I get it?
It didn't work that well for the 20th anniversary Mac, even though that was filled with lots of cool stuff.
Yeah. Would I get it? Possibly. When I die and I keep it, and when I die, would my kids know what it is and probably take it to Goodwill instead of realizing it's a artifact, a legacy artifact? Probably that
Possibly.
would be the case. So, yeah.
Okay.
What about you? Do you want a clear phone?
I think it would be super cool. Would I be willing to spend the kind of money that something like that would require to have an iPhone that was like different from everyone else's, but still did the exact same thing I use a phone for? No, I don't think I would.
Sort of like the microphones you have sitting in your office.
Right. Except most of those were well under $200, and I do not see an all clear iPhone selling for that kind of price.
So you just said buying something that does the same thing that everything else does. Okay, so that concept, that ethic that you have about that is completely out the door.
So out the door. You don't even have to open up the window. You can just throw that right through the panes of glass that are right there. And because it's transparent, you'd never even see it.
Okay,
now, on the
so
same
your argument,
token, I don't have any clear or transparent microphones. I do not.
Would you buy a clear or transparent microphone?
Yes, in a heartbeat.
Okay, so here's a cookie. Go sit in the corner because your argument is
he's completely destroyed. Where's my juice? Damn it! I want my juice too. All right, that is all I have for Gaz's snippets this week.
Last flash from Gaz's snippets. Apple news on the brain. Scroll it, swipe it. That's a segment. Now we're jumping off the train. One more ping, then silence. Kept the logo fade to black. Gaz signed off on Apple headlines till the next drop brings us back.
Hey! I was doing the monkey right there at the end of it.
Oh, I thought you were doing the drum roll.
No, I'm trying to bring back the monkey. I think that's such a great dance. And
wasn't that the jerk?
You know what? I was about to say something, and I'm glad that the rational part of my brain stopped me before I said it. So ask me about it later if you want, Marty, but I'm not going to say it here live on the show. All right, we're going to move right on over to the main topic, which is the iPhone might be Splitsville. Now, this has been a rumor that's been going around for a couple of months, and it's all seemed to happen and be tied in at the same time with the component problems that the entire industry has been having. And I looking at it from that angle, I sort of get it, but I don't think that is Apple's main reason for doing this. But before we get into that, let's talk about what it is we're actually talking about. So next month, in September. I don't believe that there's been a date announced yet. Not that I've heard anyway.
Yeah. The problem is the day they usually do it is Labor
Like this-
Day.
Yeah, or the
Yeah,
second,
7th
either
or 8th.
Labor Day
Yeah.
or the second Tuesday of September kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the talk is to push it a day ahead. So it won't be on Tuesday. It will be on Wednesday as a release date. And then the other problem is if you clock ahead to sales September 11th, they don't want to do it on September 11th. So there's even talk
that
about
also
pushing
Tuesday?
it to us. No, it's Friday the 11th.
Okay.
So they would make the announcements on Tuesday or Wednesday and then open for orders on Friday the 11th. And they said they can't do that either. So pushing it maybe to the
Yeah.
12th on a Saturday for sales, which is really weird.
That
There's
would-
rumors all over the
yeah.
place on this.
I think that would be highly unusual because I don't think Apple's ever
Yeah.
had an event on a weekend before.
There was a story that I read that said they did do when this occurred again on September 11th, more than a few years back, they pushed it
Okay.
to a Saturday.
That's
Yeah.
weird. Okay. Well, the products that they're talking about again, these are all rumors, folks. We don't know. We don't have a crystal ball or balls to look into and say, wow, this is what's going to happen. The expected releases for September is the iPhone 18 Pro, iPhone 18 Pro Max, Apple Watch Series 12, and the Apple Watch Ultra 4. Those are the things that, and you can almost set your Apple Watch that those are the products that are definitely going to be released. Now, looking ahead, push to 2027, and we'll talk about why. It would be at some time in the spring, the standard iPhone 18, the iPhone 18e, and the iPhone Air 2, if they actually continue making that model. This would leave the iPhone 17 as I guess saying it's the premier low budget iPhone. No, it would be the iPhone for the rest of us. That would be the default iPhone until 2027 at some point in spring, when the iPhone 18s would be released. Now there's some other Apple hardware that they're talking about to be released in September, and who knows, a new Apple TV 4K, HomePod Mini 2. I have, other than updating maybe the wireless hardware that it uses, I don't really see any need to release a new HomePod Mini or even a regular HomePod. And then the Apple, how many years has this product been rumored about? Apple Smart Display Home Hub. It's been talked about for a couple of years, and Apple consistently refuses to make the analysts happy and release this product. And apparently, according to what I'm reading here, there's a few less certain items which could possibly be, and maybe later in the year, an M6 MacBook Pro, and one I would love to see would be a new iPad Mini, because I'm thinking about going in that direction instead of continuing to get iPad Pros, because I don't think I really need M series chips for my iPad.
Yeah.
So what do you think about this rumor? Do you think it's possible, probable, and what would be the reasoning behind Apple doing it?
I think the problem is Apple's has stretched itself thin on the iPhone line. They're just about to add the Ultra or the Fold, whatever it's going to be called. They already have the iPhone E. They have an iPhone Air. They have a standard iPhone. They have a Pro iPhone, and then they have a Pro Max iPhone. And I think that's the problem. Some of the notes, and you might have mentioned this, and this is the one that I'm most excited about is the Fold. I'm least excited about the Pro Max. Whether I order one or not, who knows? And moving to, it depends on what's on the Fold, what's available on the Fold. And the story that I heard that I think you also reflected is it could be that it's announced, but it's going to be delayed for release and sales a couple of weeks down the road, or maybe a month down the road. And they've done that with product lines before. They've pushed some of them to be released and sold, and people who are just a jonesing for a new product go, oh, okay, I'll settle for this. And then a month later, the one that they really want comes out. So who knows? I think I will cry tears that if the Ultra does not fall into the first round of ordering, and is pushed off 2 weeks later, because I'll have to hear it from everybody else who went ahead and got the other varieties. Stuff in the spring doesn't surprise me, particularly the the E and the Air. That wouldn't surprise me at all. The standard 18, I don't think they can push that to the spring without losing a Christmas market, and because that's going to be the phone for the lower priced flagship kind of phone that's available. So I think that's coming in September too. Some of the other things that are announced, hardware that are announced, the upgrades in Macs, probably October. So get away from the ordering and release and shipping stuff that they're going to have to deal with, and then set out a new product line. I think they have too many phones at this point. And I can't see them pushing the standard iPhone 18 to the spring. Remember, there was a time that iPads were the spring release. Yeah. You just got done paying your Christmas bills, and damn it, they came out with a new set of iPads to get. So stuff being released in spring is not a surprise. But their product line is too thin. It's stretched too much.
I don't disagree with that.
And then of course, there's the iPhone Neo that they're talking about coming out, which is basically an envelope with a couple of quarters and locations of your nearest pay phones.
with a rotary dial on it. Before I give you my opinion, do you think, now, I don't believe that there's going to be any Mac announcements in the initial September launch, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But I do think that they'll talk about new chips that they have coming out. And I think the M6 and possibly higher versions or more powerful versions of M5s could be something that they talk about. But as far as the rest of it goes, I think Apple has such a grip on mobile devices that they could easily do the entire iPhone line in September. I see this more as a way to diversify when the money comes in. Their profits across the board. Because right now with the iPhone is Apple's biggest selling, most profitable device. It makes up well over 60% of everything that's coming in for the company. And by having two events, while you won't get that same kind of huge boost that you would normally get in the third quarter of whatever year it is. And for people who don't understand that statement, there's a difference between calendar years and fiscal years. Fiscal years extend into what could be considered the first quarter of the next year. So the September to December quarter is actually the third quarter of the fiscal year instead of being the fourth quarter of the calendar year. So by spreading that out a little bit, they're able to keep the buzz alive on mobile devices and not just saying, okay, well, here is all of our iPhones and oh yeah, and there's some iPads coming out over there, which is their second mobile device. And, you know, when we say mobile, I'm not talking about laptops, because the Macs have a tendency to be all kind of melded into one, because when there's a new laptop, there's also a new Mac Mini or an iMac or something along those lines to go with it. Not as powerful, because the laptops, as far as Macs go, laptops are the devices that make the most money for Apple and is the prevalent, wow, words are hard, device on the Mac side that Apple sells. That's what people are buying most, is laptops. So this diversifies when the money is coming in, instead of having this huge lump sum in September with diminishing returns as, you know, you go into the next fiscal year leading up to the third quarter fiscal year for the year that's following. So I get it. But I think that one of Apple's problems is a problem that Steve Jobs addressed when he came back, in that there's too many models. There's such an attempt to diversify a product line so that, you know, every single person that wants to buy a device has a particular way that they can go. Whereas it can be more confusing for people that just say, okay, well, I just want an iPhone. I don't need the Pro or the Pro Max. I just want an iPhone. I just want a Mac Mini. I just want an iMac. And by including all of these different models, and I'm mostly talking about iPhones and iPads, I really think that Apple should be simplifying their product lines. Things like, do we really need the iPad Air? Is this a device that provides a separate value for people that don't want the Pro, but want a little bit more than the, you know, and I think it splits the product line too much, but that's my opinion, and had nothing really to do with the rest of the stuff that we're talking about.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going right for your heart on this one. Do we really need an iPad Mini if we have we have an iPhone Fold?
Possibly not.
Yeah.
Especially considering that the guarantee that an iPhone Fold or Ultra or whatever the hell they end up calling it is going to make Apple a lot more money than an iPad Mini.
Yeah. I am. Here's another thing that I think is really going to be diminishing returns for Apple. I have an iPad that has an M5 in it. Do I really need an iPad that has an M6 in it? Is there anything that I'm doing that a new chip, which provides faster speed, maybe a little bit cooler temperature, a little bit shorter battery life, is that going to be enough for me to upgrade as they come out with new lines of silicone, which, you know, some of the stories have said they're just going to skip over 6, they're going to go to 7. There has to be some demonstrated benefit to that.
Right.
That is not just for a small niche of people who have 40 windows open at the same time and are trying to run Final Cut Pro. and render in Final Cut Pro. But for me, the two exciting things, and the chips don't mean a lot to me in terms of performance, because unless it can touch the button before I can touch it physically,
Right.
It does me no good for it to be faster. The two products I think that are interesting is the Fold or the Ultra, whatever they're going to call it. I think they should call it the iPhone Guy.
Yeah.
And so
I'm going to get the iPhone Guy Plus. It's just more guy.
So I think the iPhone Fold or iPhone Ultra is the product that is of interest because it's a new form factor, because it will attract people to the device in that way. The other one, which you're kind of downplaying, but I've always been in that fantasy realm of the smart display. And this has been rumored for a long time. The first time I heard about it, Andy Ihnatko talked about it as a potential
Are you
product.
talking about the
Home Hub smart display?
Okay. Yeah, I have been kind of down on that product. Go ahead.
Yeah. And all the renderings of it, which are just rumors, look like a basketball with an iPad attached to it.
Right.
When Ihnatko first talked about it and I got excited about it, was the idea of having basically an iPad on the wall. And so you could have them in multiple rooms. You could talk to them. If I had one in the kitchen, I could have recipes up. I can do that on my phone, but if it's on the wall, it's different. I can have
just
music going. I can control whatever. So I think that in itself is another kind of newish form factor. It's not a fully functional iPad on the wall, but it's home integrated. And you can have multiple ones in rooms. So this year they come out with a 13-inch one. Next year they come out with a 15-inch one with some other bobs. So those are the two devices that I think really can speak to Apple innovation. And other than that, it's a new chip just doesn't do it for me.
If I was going to buy into that, two things would have to happen. Number one, the home software or whatever it is that they're going to call it would have to be magnitudes better than the way it currently works now. There's lots of problems trying to get everything to talk together, even if it's on the same Wi-Fi network. Sometimes it just doesn't work. The other thing would be, oh, wow, I had two things and one of them just went, and left the room. I'm trying to remember what that other thing was.
While you're thinking, I would not want it to run home right now. I'd want the device to be able to be like a app dumb terminal with certain apps that I can do, including if I have to use the A lady to run my lights.
Well, I'm thinking more along the lines of having it so that the various devices on that network can communicate with one another.
Right.
You know, like you were talking about, you're sitting on your couch in your living room and you're like, oh, I got to start thinking about dinner. So you start punching in. Oh, I remembered the second thing, better Siri and Apple AI integration into it as well.
Yeah.
So you're trying to come up with something for dinner and you start punching in the ingredients that you have on hand and go, okay, find me something that I could take all of these ingredients, slam them together and not have everybody just freak out and go, what is this? This looks like, chicken sloppy Joe or, whatever, even though that sounds kind of good right now. So those are the kinds of things that would be required for me to make it worth my time. Because right now I do those kinds of things. So I find a recipe that I want to make for dinner that night, and then I have to save it to Pages, or I have to save it in Notes.
Yeah.
And then I go to my next device, or I have to carry this device upstairs to the kitchen. And then I have to launch into Notes or whatever. But if I could sit there and with a home hub say, okay, show me some options for dinner tonight. And it says, oh, okay, well, here are the things that you have, and here is something that you can make. And then you say, okay, great. Send it to the home hub that's in the kitchen. And when I go up to the kitchen, then it's there. I don't have to open Notes. I don't have to, go through files in iPad OS or iOS for that matter to try to find this thing. I have created something that I want to push to another device, and that S Lady and Apple Intelligence is smart enough to say, oh, okay, he doesn't want it here, even though this is where he made it. He wants it to be over there. And then that would go ahead and send it to that device.
And that's where I think that's an added benefit to just an iPad on the wall. Mm-hmm. I think it that kind of integration. There's even, I think, some discussion that there might be its own operating system.
It should be.
Different from home. Home
well,
hub.
That's what home should be.
I know.
You add, whether it's stuff that's going to work through Apple's protocol, which I think should just go away. Just use Matter. Yeah. Just use Matter, because that's where most of the industry, including third parties that are making hardware, is going. So your Apple network has all these devices on it using Matter. And then the home OS is saying, okay, well, how do you want me to deal with this? Well, I want the lights to come on at this time. Mm-hmm. And I want the blinds to close at this time. And I want you to, I'm not going to be home, but as soon as this particular program comes out, go ahead and download a copy of it, so that if I'm on a plane or I'm in not in my car, but you know what I mean? It can sit there and say, oh, okay, here is this thing, and I'm going to squirt it over to you via your cellular network or what have you, so that you can watch it and start watching it before you get home. So these are the kinds of things that I wish Apple would do, and would make it worth my time to go ahead and buy into, because I'm not a big fan of home automation right now. No. But these are the kinds of things that could get me excited if it was smart and not just I have to react instead of the devices reacting to what I want.
And I think SAI is there, which is why I think built into a device like this, you'd be able to get that. Frankly, I agree with you. With home, the roof is on fire. And we should just let it burn. And start from scratch, build it around.
Water? No.
Yeah, that's why I avoided that. But listeners and viewers can fit that one in.
Yeah, you guys fill in the rest, okay? We're not going to do it on the show.
If you don't Google it, or ask SAI what I'm referring to. It's really, I think it's there, and why I think some on the wall device that's not an Apple TV but is a home integrated device. I tell you, I don't want one in my bedroom, like I don't want any other listening device in my bedroom. Not that anything exciting goes on in there, but I just don't want it. So those are two new entryways, and that might be Ternus's first. He's been involved in a lot of stuff. Yeah, it might be interesting to see how that plays out.
And we have gone so far afield from what we originally started talking about, but that is the beauty of this show, is we just kind of go and we just let the conversation flow to where it was going to go. So bottom line, do you believe that Apple is going to split iPhone announcements into September and the spring?
I think September will be focused on iPhone and describing the full new iPhone line. Mm-hmm. There will be splits in terms of releases. So we'll get nods to things like the Air 2. We'll get nods to things like the E. But I think you're going to see a rollout that starts in September and then finishes with the phone, I think, sometime before November. And then the other products that we've mentioned will be pushed off till spring.
Okay, that's an interesting take on it. I didn't even think about, because I mean, typically Apple has, and I don't want to spend a lot more time on this. Typically, Apple has, when they start releasing or start talking about new iPhone models, it's been like, okay, well, here we are talking about the iPhone Pro, and you'll be able to pre-order this on Friday. Here is the Apple Watch. You'll be able to pre-order this, a week from Friday, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But if they spread out, they talk about the entire iPhone line and then split it to, okay, well, this coming Friday or a week from this Friday, you can order Maxes. At some point in September, you can order the Fold, and some point in November, you can order this model or you can order that model, and then just split it up going all the way into the new year. They'll try to get most of it available before Christmas. That was something I hadn't thought about.
Yeah.
All right. That went in directions I did not anticipate, and I'm very happy about that. The next thing that we're going to do here for this week is Gaz's tips.
Hit it. That's the end of Gaz's tips.
Oh, wrong one. Stop.
Gaz's...
This one.
Hit it. Gaz's tips.
Mostly.
Gaz's tips.
Mostly.
Gaz's tips.
It's time for
Gaz's tip.
That's the problem with doing a live show. Mistakes can be made, and you either roll with it or try to edit it in post. And my particular feeling is like, I'm not going to edit this out. It's too much work. So the Gaz's tip this week is nearly everyone knows about Quick Look. Hitting the space bar on any highlighted file in the Finder gives you a preview of that file, including images, text, audio, or video. However, you can also use the folder keys to switch to different files. You don't have to hit the space bar again, move to a new file, and then hit the space bar again. You can just use the arrow keys and it'll go up and down in whatever direction it is that you want to do, depending on how you have your Finder laid out, and look at other files at the same time. And that's my tip this week. What do you think? You nodding your head?
I'm nodding my head. I'm nodding my head.
Hit it. That's the end of Gaz's tips. That's the end of Gaz's tips. That's the end of Gaz's tips.
Is that the end of the tip?
Will you let me finish?
Gaz, you are absolutely right.
Okay. So you won't understand why Marty's laughing unless you watch the video. So go on over to the Vert Shark channel and watch the damn video. For pick's sake, Marty, do you have a pick for this week?
Yeah, this is something I stumbled across, and I'd encourage people to take a look at it. First of all, the app, if you want to call it, is a reading list. It's by Mark, M-A-R-C, Kohlbrugge. And I just wanted to say Kohlbrugge.
I know.
Yeah.
Sounds very German.
He's kind of a developer. He has lots of stuff on GitHub. And so I've included this one app that you can download and have it as a DMG. And I'm running the beta of 27, so it appears to work fine on that.
Cool.
It is called Reading List, and what it does is it takes your tab from Safari, if you are storing things in Safari, and gives you an opportunity to open it as a reading list and
nice.
off outside of it. So I struggle a little with it, play with it. The source code is also available at GitHub for people who want to look at it. But also I'll include the link to just his projects, because he's got a lot of other projects that are short little apps and short little code that you can do to run certain things beyond my capabilities. But some of our viewers, listeners will like to see other things that he does with his projects list. So yeah, just fun stuff. It is called, the app that I mentioned is called Reading List, and does a nice job of collecting what you stored later to read offline within the app. Because I always say, yeah, I'll get to that, and then I store it, and then it slips my memory. Yeah. So this is a separate little reader he did. A little bit like Pocket, I would think, which was a reader. Pocket Reader was also used for these kinds of processes, but very cool. And if you aren't interested in that, just go and look at the list of other projects that he's involved in, because you might find something there you want to do.
Yeah, and both of these links will be in the show notes. So whatever aggregator that you're using to watch or listen to this show, you'll see those links there. My pick isn't an app. I'm really enjoying. I'm no surprise to anybody, but I'm a bit of a child, and I still like a lot of the things that I enjoyed when I was growing up, including superheroes. I had a huge comic book collection that I finally let go of 5-10 years ago, I guess. But I am really enjoying Amazon Prime's Batman Caped Crusader series. It's done by Bruce Timm, which is the same man that did Batman the Animated Series back in the 90s, which is what got my kids interested, well, my wife as well, interested in Batman Beyond the movies and all the rest of that, because it was so well done. And this is set, unlike the somewhat ambiguous time period for the animated series, this is definitely set in the 40s. There are some changes made to major characters, and if that really bothers you, then that's kind of on you instead of the people that made this show. But it's a really good show that I have enjoyed very much. So that's over on Amazon Prime. If you want to support this show, you can do so. You don't have to. I'll keep doing it, maybe just to spite people, because I really like doing this show. You can send me a coffee through ko-fi.com/MacParrot. You can also support me through PayPal, paypal.me/MacParrot. We don't have any social stuff this week, which makes me sad. There was one that I saw from, now we have two Gregs. There's NC Greg and NY Greg. And I saw something from NY Greg recently that I didn't see until much later. And it was mostly him saying, wow, I really like the new format, and, I appreciate you guys and that kind of thing. So thank you. Thank you, NY Greg. Don't be a stranger. You got to catch up to NC Greg, who has been the #1 contributor for a really, really long time. And thank you, NC Greg, for having done so. It's greatly appreciated. But speaking of feedback, you can do all kinds of things. You can, if you do some feedback and you're the first time contacting the show or whatever, you can get something that is just going to blow your mind. And it is called a Woody. And I'm going to tell you what a Woody is. A Woody is a big W, big O, big T, little I, little E, exclamation mark. That's a Woody. And it will make you question many of your life choices up to the point where you got one. You can also send us an audio bumper in however fashion that you want to do it. And if you don't know what a bumper is, it's basically like a 5 to 10 second little little snippet. I think I actually have one here somewhere. Let's try this one right here.
This is Wab Bud.
Hey.
Messages. We don't need no stinking messages.
Yeah, so that's kind
This
of like
is
what...
Wab Bud.
Whoa, don't do it again. Stop that.
You're looping him.
I know. Well, I'm not on purpose. I think I must have hit the button twice. So it's like a little 5 to 10 second thing where you can tell us how much you love the show. You can tell us how much you hate the show. You know, you can insult us. You can do whatever you want. I have entire folders filled with people who have come up with new and creative ways to tell us what idiots and jerks we are here on this show. And it is great. It's all, for the most part, I like to think it's mostly done with humor and in good taste. Mostly. But, you know, I don't know. If you really can't stand the show for whatever reason, do one that says we're morons, and I'll still play it because that's what I do. And if you must use naughty words, Marcus, then that's fine, but they will be beeped. Now, Marty, if people wanted to contact you and say, you know, Guy is so simple, why did it take you 3 shows to figure out the kind of show that he does? How would they get a hold of you to tell you that?
Well, I think you're going to have to double your hard drive space now that you've had me on the show for bad reviews. But simplest way to get a hold of me is my last name, Jencius. And you can find me on Blue Sky or on Mastodon. If you want to know other shows and other things that I'm doing, and there's quite a bit of them and other shows that I'm on, check out thepodtalk.net. That's thepodtalk.net is the website with links to all the shows and the stuff that I'm having fun with when I'm not working.
Yeah, I do not know where you find the time, Marty, seriously. For all of the things that you do within the podcasting space, I do not know where you find the time.
Well, you just don't do
barely have time to do the things that I do.
You don't do the other stuff well, so you become a bad partner.
True. Oh, you're talking about you. I thought you were talking about me. I was going to agree with you.
You become a subpar parent. If you do all of that, if you knock off all that other life stuff, you've got plenty of room to do the stuff. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to write this down. Have no private or fun life and just do podcast. Got it. Okay, I've got it right there. It's in my notes. If you'd like to get a hold of us here on the GMen Show, our email address is gmenshow, GMENSHOW @gmail.com. You can find me over on the Twacksters as either MacPettit or Vert Shark. I am also on both Blue Sky or Skies of Blue and Yarn or Threads as Mac Parrot and Vert Shark. Vert Shark is the channel that you can go to over there on the Tubes of You and see all the stuff that I do there. Everything is tagged and goes through the Vert Shark channel. If you want to get a hold of Gaz, he is on Mastodon. Gazmaz, GAZMAZ at c.im over there on Mastodon. And he is also on Skies of Blue. And we have a combined both Twackster and Skies of Blue account as Guy and Gaz, GUYANDGAZ. And if that wasn't enough for you,
Guy has a Google voice number. The G-Man wants your call. Call him now.
Thank you, Jeff. Yes, we have a Google voice number, and that number, if you watch the video, is right there on the bottom of your screen. If you can't be bothered, then you can also listen to me talk about that number now. And that number is 703-828-4677. It is a Google Voice number. You can dial it outside of the US. Your country code will be 1 and then that number. And you may incur charges if you dial it directly. If you missed that number, here it is one last time.
703-828-4678.
That's right, Marty. That number is 703-828-46. That is the number that you can call to participate with us on the show. Now, I don't know if Gas is going to want to do this live. But whenever I'm doing this live, you can go on over to the Vert Shark channel, click the link, join the fun, and, you know, give me crap or give your opinion or what have you. Same thing with the Book of Faces over there under my name, Guy Searle. And make sure it's the one with the bald guy and not my son guy, who also does lots of stuff online. If you send him any insulting emails, he's very big and very fit and may beat you up. But that's a whole different story. Other than this show, of course, I am on Mac Voices and In Touch with iOS on either Tuesday or Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Those are Chuck and Dave's shows, which we talked about a little bit earlier. I hope to get on some of the other shows that Marty's on, like the Old Mac Game. The couple of times that I've seen that, I've had a really enjoyable time watching and listening to that show. And I am an old guy, so I definitely kind of fit in with what's going on there. There's also Guy's Daily Drive, which is an archive of all the ones I did for about 5 years, driving to work in my car and recording a podcast, because there's nothing unsafe about that at all. And of course, Tales from the AI Verse, which is still at 2 episodes. So that is such a slow rollout by now that it's probably on life support. We are now coming up to the very sad part of the show, Marty, where we have to go. Thank you. Yeah. Thanks to each and every single one of you who download and listen or watch the GMen show in all the various ways that it can be found. It is greatly appreciated. That is not a joke. That is very sincere from the heart of my bottom to you. Having said that, Marty, I think that this week we were good enough. Oh yeah.
Good enough.
Good enough. And that we were smart enough. Oh, maybe. I can't guarantee, you know, the smart enough level, that's up for you to decide, not us. And that doggone it, woof, wilf, walf, that amazing dog that Gaz has. People like us. Right. And before we go, Marty, of course, I have some dad jokes. Are you ready? Please tell me you're ready.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Holding on to your
Hit
seat.
me.
Okay. Did you hear about the kidnapping at school?
Yeah. It's okay. He woke up.
Exactly. Okay. When does a joke become a dad joke?
When it becomes a parent.
Yes. Ding, 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 ding. Lastly, Marty, what do you call a sad cup of coffee?
Depresso?
Yes, that is right. And I'm looking at this. Do I have the closing theme? Do I have the closing theme here? I don't think I do. So we're just going to say end. Oh, wait. Yes, I do. I just don't have it as a button. All right. There's going to have to be some editing. Here it is.
Well, I'm sorry, my friend. We've reached the end. Guy and Gaz would love to last, but they're tired. So this is the end of the podcast. Join them next week where they'll bring the news and geek. You know, Guy and Gaz had a blast, but they're tired. So this is the end of the podcast. You can stay with the show. Call the number you all know. 703-828-4677. You know they're tired because 7 doesn't rhyme with podcast.
So you can all go home and there's nothing to worry about. Get out of here now. Go on. Go on home and go home.
Okay. That's it. Whoa. Lost your audio. Did you mute?
I'm sorry. I shut it off.
No. That's fine. That's fine.
We're still broadcasting, eh?
Yes, we are. We're still live.
Okay.
But I'll go ahead and it doesn't matter because I don't think we have anyone on the live stream.
Yeah.
However, if we had someone on the live stream, this is where the show is going to end. So thank you for joining. Thank you for watching and all of the rest of that good stuff.